Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining me. I'm glad that you're here. I don't know whether you got a chance last evening. Today is Wednesday. What is this? September 17th, I believe. Just got home from work. It's about 11 in the morning or so. I don't know if any of you got a chance to watch the Tucker Carlson presentation last night. I hope that you did. It was pretty good. Tucker Carlson, of course, a good friend of the late Charlie Kirk. He had Megyn Kelly on his show and Scott Adams, Jink Ugar, I believe is his name. I butchered that, I'm sure. And, of course, Father Josiah Trenum was on with him last to try and give a little clarity and perspective from the Christian point of view as to what we're dealing with here. But I wanted to talk for a minute. There's a few things I want to talk about. But I want to start with this because there's something that Tucker said. He gave like an opening monologue that went on for at least 10 minutes, maybe 15. But there was something that he said in that monologue that really resonated with me that I wanted to relay to you as well. What exactly is going on in our country as we see, in our world, as we see just an explosion, if you will, of lawlessness and immorality. What is this? We see, I've talked about in the last few shows about the rise of young people who are coming out as being transgender, or they're transitioning from one sex to another. Just some of the most bizarre things you've ever seen. And this young man who has been charged with the murder of Charlie Kirk, of course, was apparently transgender and had a transgender boyfriend. They were in a relationship together, as I understand it. I just wanted to say, with regard to Charlie Kirk, I'm still in a place where I believe nothing yet. I cannot get past the facts, folks, that the same government, the American government, which is telling us that they have the killer and they have the weapon that he used, is the same government that lied to us about JFK, etc., 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 as we all know. I mean, we could just go on all day long with the lies we've been told. And, you know, it's like fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. You can only cry wolf so many times before I finally say, I can't believe anything that you say. And that's where I am. And I am skeptical of everything. I don't accept anything. To the best of my ability, I will verify the information that we have available to us and reach my own conclusions. And that's what I recommend you do. I was watching yesterday Candace Owens for a while, and she was reading the transcripts that I guess the local police department in Utah had released, which were allegedly transcripts between the alleged shooter, Tyler Robinson, and his alleged lover, whatever, Witt or Vance Witt, I believe his name was. I may be wrong about that. And Candace and others I saw were literally just reading verbatim the transcripts of a alleged, as my favorite word anymore, alleged, of an alleged conversation, text conversation that Tyler Robinson was having with his boyfriend with regard to the assassination. And as she read this, she was pointing out what she considered to be some inconsistencies and some things that just weren't adding up. And she made some pretty good points. There's no doubting where Candace Owens, who was a very close confidant of Charlie Kirk's, there's no doubt where she stands on this matter. I can't say for sure what happened still. I don't know if I'll ever be able to say, but I can say that she pointed out inconsistencies in the story that we already have. So that's where I am. What is the truth? I don't know. I keep seeing people on social media and in person who talk about the gun that this kid used, and I have to say to myself or say to them, it's the gun that they say he used. It's the person that they say did it. Folks, there's no way we can know exactly what happened right now. Do you remember, right after, some of you are old enough to remember this, this is like my first, no kidding, my first memory of life. I was born in 1961, and I declare to you the first thing that I can remember in life is my mother sitting in a chair, a recliner, a rocking chair rather, in front of our old black and white television set in 1963, and I'll never forget, she had a tissue in her hand dabbing at her eyes, and she was glued to that TV for the funeral of Kennedy. I'll never forget that. And you should never forget that we were very quickly told what had happened there. And of course, it all turned out to be nonsense. It was a lie. It was not Oswald by himself. If he did have anything to do it, he surely did not act alone. I think everybody pretty much every American pretty much has a handle on what happened there. But the bottom line is, we are constantly lied, and I don't have to list all the lies. You just think about it for a few minutes, and you'll come up with it. It's just lie after lie after lie. And I'm sorry, I just don't believe anything. I hear it, I read it, and I say, okay, maybe that's true, maybe it isn't, but my default position is to believe nothing that the American government or any authority in any state tells us. I hope we can get to the bottom of it. I hope we can catch the person who did this, and I hope they receive the ultimate punishment, and swiftly. I'm getting sidetracked. What Tucker mentioned last night that resonated with me is why we have such decay in our society, why we have such immorality and such lawlessness in our society, is very simple, and he's exactly right about this, is because we reject the idea of God. And I don't mean to get preachy here, but it's really worth considering. If you believe in God, no matter what your religious persuasion believe, if you believe in God, and if you believe in a higher power or a creator, and if you believe that this God has established rules/laws for us by which we govern our personal lives and our society, if you believe that, those are the foundations of a civilization, of a society. But if you reject the notion of God, if you reject or even if you believe there's a God but you reject His authority or His rules, then the potential is there for a immoral free-for-all, for decay and decadence and lawlessness, because you don't submit yourself to any authority any longer. Now, no matter what you believe in a religious sense, let's just take Christianity. As of this show, most Americans who subscribe to a religious belief consider themselves Christians, so let's go with that. The foundation of Christianity, if you will, really begins in the Pentateuch, in the books of Moses, the Decalogue, if you will, the Ten Commandments. And we are given the Ten Commandments. We're told God lays down the law to the Israelites through His prophet Moses. And these laws have to do with how we govern ourselves as a society. Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not covet, thou shalt honor thy father and mother, thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not steal, etc., etc., and onward it goes. And the Ten Commandments became the basis of civilization of that time, as we all know. Now, when Christ the Lord came, and He was there really all the time, the Son of God became the Son of Man in the New Testament, it's a mistaken notion for any Christian to say, well, the Ten Commandments don't matter anymore. That's simply not true. This is rudimentary stuff. Christ said, I did not come to abolish the law, but to fulfill it with the new covenant, which is what he did. But the Ten Commandments are still valid, my friends. It's still wrong to kill and steal and dishonor your parents and covet your neighbor's possession. All of these things, it's still in effect. It's still wrong to do these things. And the Ten Commandments are the basis for the laws that we have in America today, which we brought with us from the old country. The basis of American law and jurisprudence is the Ten Commandments. Whether you know that or not, it's true. That's why the Ten Commandments should be hung in the courtrooms. That's been a big controversy in years past, people trying to remove the Ten Commandments. Well, why would you do that? Well, separation of church and state. Well, that's nonsense. Our laws have always been rooted in the Decalogue, the Ten Commandments, because these are good laws from which you can govern a civilization. And the first of those commandments, by the way, is thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, all thy mind, all thy soul, all thy strength. Which really, if you can just do that, you don't have to worry about breaking any of the other laws. But what we've seen, folks, in the last several decades are a lot of Americans who are pushing back on the authority. If you don't want to say God, okay, then the authority of the law. They don't want to be told what's right and what is wrong. They don't want any sort of moral imperative being laid down to them. They reject the notion of a higher power or even the county sheriff, and they have determined for themselves that they will be their own gods, and they will decide for themselves what is right and wrong, and they will decide for themselves how they will behave and conduct themselves out in public. And that only leads to mayhem and the breakdown of civilization. And that is what we're seeing here. Why are we seeing these, for example, gay pride parades in the street where people are flaunting their perversions and deviancies in front of children? Why are you seeing this in public schools? Why are you seeing this man that was arrested at the rally where Charlie was assassinated, this Van, I believe his name was, as soon as the shots rang out, he stands up and says, I did it. Well, it turns out he was just a gadfly. He is a known troublemaker. He pulled a similar stunt in the last Olympic Games. And then we are told that they arrested him, and what do you think they found on his cell phone? I don't even want to mention it. It's just repulsive to me. Why is this happening? Because so many people are rejecting the idea either of God and or the idea of authority or law. And you can't have a nation like that, folks. You can't have a civilization. You have to have a law. You have to have an authority, and the people in the nation have to submit to said authority. We are awash in the United States and in the West in utter sheer lawlessness, with everyone doing what, maybe not everyone, but a lot of people doing what they believe is right in their own eyes. This is a recipe for disaster, as we see. And I just wanted to bring that up because it really struck with me. And that's what Tucker was talking about last night. It was really a salient and really very good point. Okay, there's two more things I want to talk about. I've said all I can say about Charlie Kirk for now. As things continue to evolve, I'll say more, but all I know is probably all that you know. Pardon me. Have you heard that Donald Trump is suing the New York Times, as he should? He is suing them for defamation. He is suing them for libel. And he is suing them. I wish I'd written the amount down. It is in the billions, with a B, billions of dollars. He is suing them for this. Not just, and they're guilty. I can tell you off the top of my head, I know they're guilty. Not just for the lies that they have printed about him while he was president, but this lawsuit is going to reference times or post in stories and articles in times past, prior to him becoming president or even seeking political office, where they have libeled President Trump over and over again, and he has apparently had a gutful of it. This fish wrapper, the New York Times, I don't know if there's a more worthless newspaper in America than the New York Times. All they do is just a cesspool of lies. And Trump has had enough of it, and he is suing them for billions of dollars. And I'm going to tell you, I've heard a few people talking about this. I think it's very likely Trump is going to succeed, and here's how I believe it's going to go. Pardon me. This is bubble water, and every time I drink it, there's a volcano inside, so bear with me. But it's good. I like it. I'll make my own. This is how I believe this is going to go. Trump is going to prevail in this case. I don't know if it'll ever come to trial or not. I think what's going to happen is during discovery, it's going to be clear what the Times has done to Donald Trump. And I think that they're going to try and reach a settlement. Bear in mind that Donald Trump also launched a successful lawsuit against CBS News, and he was successful. It crippled them. The head of their news division had to resign over it because of all the lies they were telling. And now Trump is going after the New York Times, and to him I say, Mr. President, good luck. Good luck and Godspeed. I hope you put them out of business. You know, broadcast television channels, for example, they have to get permission from the FCC to broadcast. And I realize ain't too many Americans watching broadcast television anymore, although on your cable systems you still have the major networks, but they still have to get permission to broadcast from the FCC. And I've mentioned this a few months ago, but I'll say it again. I think it's time that the FCC says to the ABCs and CBSs and NBCs et al., you were wrong about this, and you're going to have to either air an apology and a correction, or we're not going to renew your license. I absolutely think they should do that. I don't know how often they have to renew their license, but I'd be all for the FCC clamping down on these liars who just put out so much nonsense and so many stories that aren't true about people. So President Trump, good luck to him. All right. Please indulge me for a moment and watch this video if you would.
I also appreciate how he has helped to people to sympathize with, the people of Palestine, people of Lebanon. As you know, I've lived in Lebanon. I also lived in Israel. I've stayed for several weeks in Palestine. And I feel like, but despite that, I feel like having that sign up there, it's almost like having, naming a street Hezbollah Street or Hamas Street. Hezbollah, bombed the embassy in Beirut, and including many Americans. So I just feel that's quite inappropriate.
And I think it's quite hypocritical to know that you're approaching this podium when you yourself have videos on YouTube standing in front of my mosque saying the cruelest of things about Muslims, about the religion of Islam, because you are a bigot and you are a racist and you are an Islamophobe. And although you live here, I want you to know as mayor, you are not welcome here. And the day you move out of the city will be the day that I launch a parade celebrating the fact that you moved out of the city. Because you are not somebody who believes in coexistence. You're somebody who tries to preach it, but in fact you do everything but that.
The video that you just watched happened, the scene that you just watched happened in Dearborn, Michigan. Dearborn, Michigan. And Dearborn, Michigan, if you don't know it, has pretty much been completely co-opted by Muslims. They pretty much run Dearborn, Michigan now. And this article is all over the news that Dearborn Mayor Abdullah Hamoud lashed out at a resident of Dearborn during a heated exchange telling him, you do not, quote, you do not belong in this city, Islamophobe, get out, unquote. The confrontation came after this citizen of Dearborn, this non-Muslim citizen of Dearborn, voiced opposition to naming a local street after Osama, pardon me just a moment, after Osama Siblani, a figure widely criticized for pro-jihad and extremist sympathies. You got that? The Muslim mayor's administration of Dearborn, Michigan has decided that they want to rename not just this street, but other streets, and I suppose buildings or what have you, I don't know. They want to rename these streets after Islamic people. This is in Dearborn, Michigan, United States of America. You got that? And when this citizen of Dearborn, Michigan stood up at the council meeting to oppose this, it's unbelievable. When he stood up, as is his right, to voice his opposition to the city's decision to name streets after Muslims, this mayor called him a racist. He called him an Islamophobe. He said that, and he told him he wanted him to get out of the city. And when he did get out of the city, there was going to be a parade. This is in Dearborn, Michigan, USA, by Mayor Abdullah Hammoud, an adherent of the peaceful religion of Islam. Can you believe it? How many of you would be wanting to live in Dearborn, Michigan right about now? Better grab you a burqa if you're a woman. These people's goal is not just to coexist in America, as you see, case in study, case in point. They have no intention of acclimating to the traditional American way of life. And I just told you about the 10 Commandments. Well, they don't care about that. They've got their own law, and it's called Sharia law. And we already have documented cases of people like this who want to supplant American law and jurisprudence with Sharia law in the United States of America, not Saudi Arabia, in the USA. This is outrageous, and something needs to be done about this. And I am afraid to tell you that you're going to only see more of this if this Marxist Muslim Mamdani gets elected in New York City, as he probably will as things stand right now, unless Donald Trump directs his Justice Department to do something about this man who should not even be in the United States. He needs to be shipped back to Uganda where he came from. We can't have this, folks. Multiculturalism, by and large, is an utter failure in a society. Now, I'm not saying we all have to be Baptist or even Jewish or Buddhist or what have you, but we all have to subscribe to generally speaking, the same values, the same commandments that I referenced earlier. I don't care who you are religiously, or even if you're an atheist, common sense would tell you there ain't a whole lot wrong with the 10 Commandments. I don't think you could improve on them. They are a wonderful guide for any civilization. But you're not getting this with Abdullah Hammoud and his fellow Muslims who have taken over Dearborn, Michigan. We can't have this. Something has got to be done. This is a regular citizen speaking his mind, getting shut down from the mayor who calls him a racist and an Islamophobe and says to him, get out of my city. Can you believe this? Can you imagine a mayor telling a tax-paying citizen of his city, get out? I got a double barrel for you right here, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Abdullah Hammoud. Maybe you can pull that stunt in Pakistan or wherever. Sadly, you're pulling that stunt in the United States, and this should not happen. This cannot happen, and something has got to be done. All right, folks, that's it for right now. Please like this video. If you would do me that big favor, I would like it. Like the video. Right? Yes, you. Like it. And subscribe to the channel if you have not. Thanks so much for joining me. I'll see you soon.